Unit 1, Track 2. 1.
Have you moved into your new house yet?
Not yet, but we've got a date.
When's that?
2 weeks today, on Friday the 13th.
2.
Have you come far today?
No, just from Crawford.
Dorford? Where's that?
No, Crawford. That's CRAWFORD.
3.
What's your phone number?
Do you want my home number or my mobile?
You'd better give me your mobile.
OK, it's 0870 292 720.
4.
Do you know Sue's address? I want to send her a birthday card.
Sure. It's 70 Sydney Avenue, Lowestoft.
17 Sydney Avenue. Thanks.
No, 70. And that's Sydney with an I, not a Y. SIDNEY.
Unit 1, Track 3. 1.
What's your name?
Julienne Bailey.
Did you say Juliet?
No, Julienne. JULIENNE.
And Bailey with an I?
That's right. BAILEY.
2.
I tried calling you last night, but I couldn't get through.
Oh, sorry, I was out. Next time, try my mobile.
What's the number?
Got a pen? OK? It's 0865 701158.
3.
Could you give me your address, please?
Sure, it's 113 Evenlode Road, Fenton.
113 Evenlode Road. Could you spell the name of the road for me?
Sure, it's EVENLODE.
Thanks.
4.
How long have you been here?
Let me see. I arrived on the 1st. No, sorry. I arrived on the 3rd of April, so I've been here for 9 days.
Unit 1, Track 4.
Hello, Good Moves Accommodation Agency. Ben speaking. How can I help?
Good morning. I'm calling about an apartment on your website and was wondering if I could have some more information.
Certainly. Can I take your details before we get started?
Sure.
Right. What's your name, please?
OK. My name is Clarice Willard. Clarice is CLARICE and Willard WILLARD.
Uh-huh. And have you got a contact number?
Yes, I'll give you my mobile, which is 0192 873 4566.
That's great, thanks. And can I ask how you found us?
Of course. A family member used you last year and recommended you. So I had a look at your website and, well, that's why I'm calling now.
OK. So, which property are you interested in?
The apartment on Statham Street, the one on the 3rd floor.
Uh-huh. Let me see. I'm afraid that flat's no longer available.
No?
No, it went this morning. It's in a really popular part of town. We do have a house on the same street if you're interested. It's £950 a month.
No. I think that's much too expensive. I think an apartment is all we can afford.
Oh, So it's not just for you.
No, me and a friend. We're both starting work in the town next month.
Oh, right. So it's two of you. So let's see. Do you have any preferences in terms of location?
Both our jobs are in the town centre, so it would be good to be within walking distance of that, or perhaps a short bus journey away. Neither of us have a car, so we'd be relying on public transport.
And what's your budget?
I'm sorry?
How much can you pay a month?
Let me see. £700 a month is probably our limit.
Each?
No, that would be for the both of us. We wouldn't be able to pay more than £350 each. Oh, and that would have to include bills. Not phone bills, obviously, but things like electricity, gas and water.
OK. Well, we do have a place in the Bampton district, which is about 10 minutes by bus from town. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, and it's less than your budget, at £600 a month. The bills would be extra, unfortunately, but that should still work out at less than £700. Although remember that electricity and gas prices are going up all the time, so I can't guarantee that.
Do you have an address?
I do. The apartment number is 3, and it's at 57 Thorny Lees Road.
Hang on, let me just make a note of that. 57...
Thorny Lees Road. Thorny is Thorney, and Lees is Leys. And the district is called Bampton. Do you have an email address?
Yes.
In that case, I can send you the details, and then you can think about it. And if you're interested, I could arrange for a visit, so you can see the place for yourself. How does that sound?
Oh, that would be really helpful. It's Clarice_Willard at NT...
Unit 2, Track 5. A.
Do you have a contact number?
B.
How far do you travel to work?
C.
How do you get to work?
D.
Have you got any hobbies or interests?
E.
What do you do?
F.
Can I have your second name, please?
G.
When were you born?
H.
Where do you live?
Unit 2, Track 6.
Can I have your second name, please?
Sure, it's Williams. That's WALLIAMS.
Where do you live?
37 Beach Street, Wokingham. Beach is BEECH.
When were you born?
On the 5th of April, 1984.
Do you have a contact number?
Sure. It's 0529 865 2411.
What's your job?
I'm a shop manager.
How far do you travel from your house to your place of work?
12 kilometres.
How do you get there?
I usually take the bus.
Have you got any hobbies or interests?
Oh yes, I like cooking, cycling and travel.
Unit 2, Track 7.
Hello, Eddie. It's Bridget.
Oh, hi, Bridget.
Listen, Eddie, are you still free to do an article for the college magazine?
Sure. Is there anything in particular you'd like me to write about?
Well, the next issue is about people's lives. You know, people who have done something interesting or exciting. Anyway, I've got someone lined up, and I was wondering if you could interview them and then write the article.
All right. That's fine with me.
Great. Have you got a pen?
Yes.
Okay, take this down. His name is Tom Coogan.
Tom...
Coogan. That's C-O-O-G-A-N. Got that?
Sure. And what does he do?
He's a travel writer.
I don't think I've heard of him. What else can you tell me about him? How old is he? What's he written? That sort of thing.
Okay, he's 42 years old, and he's written 10 or 12 books. Let me just check that. 12 books, including his latest. Oh, and he also presents a travel program on TV.
All right.
Now, his latest book is about a journey he made across the Gobi Desert on horseback. It took him 6 months, apparently. Anyway, I think he'd like to talk about that, so make sure you ask lots of questions.
Fine. I'd better look at a copy. What's it called?
It's called Has Anyone Seen My Horse? I've got a copy here which I can lend you.
OK. And why does he want to talk about that book in particular?
It's just won him an award.
Really? What kind?
Travel Book of the Year.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive.
Exactly. So, like I say, ask lots of questions about it. Now, I've arranged for you to meet him on the 21st of October. That's 2 weeks on Friday. Is that okay?
It should be. Have you got a time for that?
Not yet. He wants you to call him beforehand to arrange that. I'll give you his contact number. It's 0722... No, hang on. It's 0772 921 4490.
0772 921 4490. And where am I supposed to meet him?
He's suggested his place, which is good as it's not far from the college. It's 138 Lonsdale Avenue, Summertown. Lonsdale is Lonsdale.
Yeah, I think I know where Lonsdale Avenue is. You did say 138, didn't you?
Right. Oh, and I suggest that you take a look at his website as well. It's got loads of information, so you might want to ask him about some of his other trips. It's at www.tomcooganbooks.com.
All right. Thanks for that. I'll let you know how I get on.
Great. Thanks, Eddie. Good luck.
Unit 3, Track 8.
Hello everyone, and welcome aboard the Sunshine Express on our journey from London to Naples. I'm Jane Sharp, the train manager, and I hope you'll all enjoy the trip. Before we depart, I'd like to tell you a bit about the train and its facilities. Now we're here on the observation deck, which is where you'll probably spend most of your trip, as it offers the best views. And directly below us is, we call it our leisure centre. There are some games machines, a television, a small library, and so on. If you've brought a laptop or computer with you, You can also get onto the internet here, as it has full Wi-Fi capability. There's also a small bar where you can get tea, coffee and light meals. For lunch and dinner, you'll use the restaurant car, which is at the front of the train. You'll have breakfast in your cabins, by the way, which will be brought to you by your steward. The 2 cars behind the restaurant are where you'll find the second-class cabins. Each cabin has seats which are changed into beds at night. You'll also find a simple basin for washing and a small fold-down table. First-class passengers, your cabins are at the back of the train. To get to them, you'll need to pass through the lounge. This can be used by everyone during the day, but is exclusive to first-class passengers after 6 p.m. Right at the back of the train, basically as far as you can go, is my office. If anyone needs to see me, though, please use the phone in your cabin rather than coming to the office. Just press 1 and you'll get me. If I'm not there, tell your steward you need to see the manager and he or she will look for me.
Unit 3, Track 9.
Right, let me give you a bit more information about the trip. The first part of our journey is from London to Paris, going through the Channel Tunnel. It will take us just over an hour to get to the tunnel, including a short stop before we get there to pick up some more passengers. From there, it'll be another 3 hours to Paris. So we're looking at 4 hours altogether, give or take a few minutes. A quick bit of advice about passports. You won't need these until we get to the Italian border, so I suggest you keep them in the safe, which you'll find in your cabin. Ask your steward, that's the person in charge of your carriage, for a key. That way you won't need to carry them with you all the time. Now, meals. As I said earlier, breakfast tomorrow morning will be in your cabins, and this will be served at about 7:30, 7:45, so you'll be able to enjoy it as we travel along the southern French coast. Lunch is at 1 o'clock in the restaurant car, and dinner is at 8 o'clock, although we'd like you all to be at your table about 15 minutes earlier, at 1:45, if you could. When we get to the Italian border tomorrow morning, our train will change engines, and we'll also be getting a new crew. We'll be taking advantage of the stop to have a look around. I've arranged a visit to the local market, a museum, and a castle. This will take about 4 hours, with a break for coffee in a local cafe, and we'll be back on the train in time for lunch. A few quick rules. Some of you might have brought your own food or drink on board. That's fine, but could we ask that you consume it in your cabins and not in the restaurant or lounge? Could we also ask you to make sure your cabin windows are closed when you're not in your cabin? And whatever you do, don't get off the train until we reach the Italian border. Apart from the border, and 1 or 2 other places which I'll tell you about, any stops we make will only be for a few minutes. I'd hate to leave anyone behind. All right, so moving on from the Italian border, we'll be heading right into the...
Unit 4, Track 10.
Hello, Joe. Good to see you again.
Hi, you too.
So, how did you get on with the devices we asked you to test for us?
Oh, fine. Well, mostly.
OK, well, we'll come back to those in a minute. First of all, I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions about your attitude to new electrical products. This will help us with future marketing. Is that OK?
Sure.
OK. First of all, how much do you spend on electronic items a month?
Let me see. I don't earn a lot, so I don't have much left after I've paid for things like rent, bills, food and so on. Anything else is a luxury. So I'd guess about 5%, maybe 10% of my monthly salary.
All right. And what influences you in your choice of product? Say you wanted a new mobile phone. How would you decide which one to buy?
Well, first I look at reviews on the internet, what other customers think about them. Then I'll ask my friends what they think. In fact, their opinions are probably more important than anything.
How much does advertising help you choose a product?
Oh, I think that depends on how the product is advertised and who is advertising it.
For example?
Well, if it's someone I respect, like a famous sportsman or actor, that can certainly make a difference. I know it shouldn't, really, but it does.
And where do you buy most of these products? The high street? The internet?
Most people seem to avoid shops these days, don't they? For things like that. They think they can get things cheaper on the internet.
Right.
But I find that if you say to a shop assistant that you can get a new camera, for example, for £100 on the internet, they'll often match the price. So that's where I go.
Any other advantages?
Well, you get personal service and you don't have to wait for the product to be delivered. Ordering online means you have to wait, sometimes for ages, to get the things you've just bought. I hate that. I guess I'm just very impatient.
OK, one final question. Do you ever see a product and think, I've absolutely got to get one of those?
Oh, all the time, especially if I'm walking past a shop and I see a new electronic item in the window, especially if it's unusual, something I've never seen before. It takes a lot of willpower.
Unit 4, Track 11.
Right, Joe. Let's move on. Now, we gave you 3 items to test for us. Let's start with the mobile phone.
OK. Well, it has its good points and its bad points. The purple and silver make it quite eye-catching, modern, exciting.
Right. Anything else?
Well, it's very small, isn't it? I know people say small is good, but in this case I think you might have gone too far.
In what way?
It can be a bit difficult to use, especially if you've got big hands like mine. You press one key and you end up pressing another at the same time. On the other hand, thanks to the oval design, it does fit comfortably in your hand. Mobiles are usually sort of rectangular, aren't they? I think this is much better.
OK.
What else? When I was sending text messages, I had real problems seeing what I was writing. It's not that the screen was too small, just that it was a bit dark. If you're outside, you can hardly see anything on it.
We added a few things that you don't get on other mobiles. What did you think about those?
Ah, right. Well, that noise it makes if you move away from it, that's really annoying. It's basically a good idea, but I think that after a while it would drive me mad.
So you probably wouldn't buy it?
Probably not. When I buy a mobile phone, I don't want one that's going to be difficult to operate. There's no point having a phone that looks good if you have to spend ages trying to make a call or send a text message. It's funny, but I find that more expensive mobile phones are more difficult to use than cheaper ones. It should be the other way round.
So keep it simple, right?
Right. And I want a phone that doesn't have problems picking up a signal or doesn't cut you off halfway through a call. And all those games and other things you get on a mobile, I really can't see the point in those.
Fair point. Next, the digital radio. What did you think?
The audio quality was crisp and clear, even if you turned it up really loud. Some sound systems can sound a bit distorted at higher volumes, but not on this one, so 10 out of 10 for that.
Great.
The thing is, I'm not sure if it's the area I live in, but the choice of radio stations seemed very limited. It didn't make any difference what I did with the aerial or where I put the radio, high up on a shelf, low down on the floor, and there seemed to be a delay when you turned up the volume.
What do you mean?
Well, when you press the volume control, for example, nothing seems to happen for a few seconds, and the same thing happens when you want to change radio stations.
OK, the third item was the laptop computer. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I really liked it. It's so small, so compact, but easy to use at the same time. I don't think you could make it smaller if you tried. But at £900, I'm not sure you'd get many customers. That's a lot of money for a laptop. Bring that down to, say, £400 and things might be different.
Any other changes you'd make, like adding more memory, for example?
Oh, I think that's fine as it is. 300 gigabytes of memory is probably more than enough for most people. Oh, and incidentally, the way the keyboard folds out so that it's like a full-size one, that's really clever. But the computer doesn't have anywhere you can play CD-ROMs. And I'd include a light in the keyboard so you can use it when it's dark.
Well, thanks, Joe, for your comments. I think we'll find those really...
Unit 5, Track 12.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our College Natural History Day. You've all got your programme for the day, but let me just give you a bit of information about your options for this morning's sessions, which begin at 9:30. Remember, you need to attend one of these sessions. All right, your first choice is called Dogs Might Fly, which will take place in room 27. Professor Keenan, who you may remember ran a workshop last year on how dinosaurs became extinct, will be giving a lecture on the evolution of animals. In particular, she'll be looking at how they may evolve in the future, and this will be followed by a group discussion where you'll get a chance to ask her questions and offer your own thoughts and opinions on this. So, if the evolution of animals is something you're interested in, head for room 27. We all know that animals communicate with each other, but what about flowers? Your second choice is a video presentation called Flowers Talk. This considers the possibility that plants and flowers do actually communicate with each other. The video is presented by Patrick Bell, who has just written a book on how plants adapt to their natural environment. So it should be very interesting. That will take place in the lecture room. Correct that, here in the main hall. We've had to move it because the lecture room is being renovated. The third choice is ideal for those of you who want to get a bit of fresh air. We've called it A World in Your Garden, which we thought was appropriate as it looks at the sort of things you can find just by stepping out of your front door. Anyway, for those of you interested in getting away from the classroom, Dr. Watkins will be taking you on a nature walk through the local park and will be telling you about some of the fascinating animals and plants that live and grow nearby. And it's a lovely day for a walk. The final option, well, you might want to avoid this one if you're frightened of things like snakes, as this is a hands-on workshop where you'll actually get a chance to handle these exotic creatures. It won't just be snakes, however. I believe Tom Howard, our resident reptile expert, has brought some other reptiles along for you to meet, including his pet tortoise Reggie, who is over 100 years old, and a pet lizard he calls Arthur. So, if you want to meet Reggie and his other reptile friends, head on over to the biology lab at 9:30. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun. For those of you who don't usually use the biology lab, Could I remind you that you need to put on one of the white coats by the door before you go in? OK. Now, we've got some students here from Bardwell College who have joined us.
Unit 5, Track 13.
OK. Now, we've got some students here from Bardwell College who have joined us for today's events. Hello to you all, and welcome. Now, before our day begins, you'll need to get a guest badge, which you'll have to wear while you're on the college premises. You can get these from the administration office. To get there from the main hall, leave the hall by the door opposite reception, turn left, and just follow the corridor to the end. The administration office is on your right. Don't go any further, or you'll be in the sports hall. If you show your guest badge in the cafe, by the way, you'll get a 20% discount on drinks and sandwiches. To get there from the main hall, walk along the corridor between the main hall and reception and turn right. The cafe is through the first door on your left. Directly opposite the cafe, on the same corridor, is the student common room, where you can go to relax and perhaps meet some of our own students. If you have any valuables that you don't want to carry around with you, I suggest you put these in a locker. These are next to the sports hall, opposite the administration office. You can get a key for a locker when you get your guest badge from the administration office. And if you want to use our library, leave the main hall by the door opposite the one you came in, that's the door by the bicycle parking area, and walk to the end of the corridor. The library is through the door straight ahead of you.
Unit 6, Track 14.
Hey, Matt, are you coming out tonight?
I'd love to, Amy, thanks, but I've got too much work. I need to get this psychology assignment in by Thursday.
Oh, what's it on?
Happiness, or specifically, the things that make people happy.
Wow, that's a big area. How are you approaching it?
Well, I've been looking on the internet to see what various experts have to say on the subject.
Did you find anything interesting?
Well, yes, I did.
Like,
for example, there's a professor at Nottingham University, a guy called Richard Tunney, and he suggests that the more close friends we have, the happier we are. And if you see these friends regularly, go out with them and so on, well, that's even better.
I'd have thought that was fairly obvious.
Yeah, I guess so. The next one is a bit more interesting, though. Martin Seligman, a professor of psychology at an American university, conducted a happiness experiment with his students.
What did he do? Give everyone huge amounts of cash and then see how much they smiled. That would help, wouldn't it?
Well, perhaps it would. For a short while, anyway. No, what he did was tell half his students to take part in fun activities, like playing video games or going to the cinema, and the other half to do good things.
Good things?
You know, like visiting elderly people at a care home, or some other kind of voluntary work. And it was those students who reported a more lasting feeling of happiness.
That's interesting.
Then there's George Vaillant, a psychiatrist and professor at Harvard Medical School. He's spent the past 60 years studying people.
So I guess he probably knows a bit about them.
He certainly does. According to him, the thing that really makes people happy is having something to aim for. You know, a goal in the future.
Right. So I can say, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be a millionaire, and that will make me happy.
But Vaillant has a warning here. You need to be realistic. It's no good setting yourself impossible goals, because, well...
Because you'll only make yourself unhappy trying to achieve them.
Exactly.
So does anyone mention anything that people normally assume brings happiness? Like a healthy bank account or an expensive house? Something more, material?
Funnily enough, those things aren't mentioned much. Here's another interesting one, though. Melanie Hodgson, she's a professor at Westbrook University, claims that people are happier when they're getting ready to go on holiday.
Oh, I love that. Sitting on a beach, relaxing, sightseeing.
No, not the actual holiday itself, which Professor Hodgson says can sometimes be quite stressful.
That's true, they can.
But the things you do leading up to it. Deciding what you're going to take with you, what you're going to see and do, packing your case, that kind of thing.
Oh, I get it. Yes, I can see how that would work.
Unit 6, Track 15.
I've also found one of those personality tests on the internet. You know, answer these questions to find out how happy you are.
Oh, those. They're a bit of a waste of time, aren't they? I did one on how healthy are you, and the results were completely wrong.
But they're quite good fun, though, aren't they?
Well, yes, especially if you do them with friends. I think it's important that you shouldn't take them seriously, though.
That's true.
Anyway, why should I do a test that tells me how happy or healthy or successful I am? I mean, I already know the answers, don't I? So I'm not likely to get any surprises like, oh, according to this test, I'm happy. I didn't expect that.
Okay, I take your point. So what makes you happy?
Oh, I don't know. Spending time with people I know and like, I guess. I need people around me.
Me too. But I need time on my own as well.
That doesn't really bother me. I grew up in a big family, so I'm used to someone always being in the room. If I wanted to be alone, to get away from people, I had to go out for a walk or something. I still do that occasionally. In fact, that's one thing that makes me happy. A long walk in the countryside. And the advantage is that you're getting some exercise too, which is something I don't usually do.
But you go running, don't you?
Sometimes, but only because I feel I have to. Anyway, back to your assignment. You've got all the information you need.
Not quite. I need to do a bit more research first.
Okay, so you'll be off to the library then?
I would if I knew I could find something useful. But you know how disorganised it is there. It's impossible to find what you want, especially when it comes to psychology books.
Oh, I know.
No, give me a computer and the internet any day.
Well, good luck with that. If you get bored and want a break, you know where to find me.
Thanks, but if I don't get this done, I'll be in trouble.
Why don't you email Tony? He did a similar assignment last year, so he might have a few suggestions.
That's a good idea. Have you got his email address?
Sure. Give me a moment while I look it up.
Thanks.
Unit 7, Track 16.
Good morning, International Book Fair Ticket Office. How can I help?
Oh, hello. I'd like to book some tickets for the fair, please. And I have a few questions about the event as well, if that's okay.
Certainly. Well, let's deal with the tickets first. Can I just take your details first?
Sure.
Let's start with your name and address.
Okay, it's Wallace. Angus Wallace.
Could you spell your surname for me, please?
Of course. It's Wallace.
Sorry, was that one L or two?
Double L.
Thanks. And your address?
Okay, that's 14 Rose Hill.
14 Rose Hill. Is that rose like the flower?
That's right. And it's in Wallington.
Oh, I know Wallington. It's just outside Oxford, isn't it?
That's right. And the postcode is OX13 3NJ.
OX30 3MJ.
Oh, no, OX13. And it's N for November, not M for Mike.
Oh, sorry. OX13 3NJ. Thank you. Do you have a contact number?
I do. It's 0872 344 9162.
0872 344 9162.
Right. That's my home number. If I'm not in, I can be contacted at work on 0872 298 1191. I'm usually there from 9 in the morning until 5:30 in the evening.
And how many tickets would you like?
2, please, for the Saturday.
2 for Saturday, May the 7th.
That's right.
Unit 7, Track 17.
How will you send the tickets?
I can give you a couple of options. The first is by email, but of course you'll need to print them out yourself. Alternatively, there's 24-hour speed mail.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we send them to you by mail and you'll get them the next day. We'll also send you a text message to your mobile to let you know they're on their way.
I think I'll go for that option.
Fine. Now, you had some questions.
Yes, I understand that there are some talks being given by authors. There's one in particular I'd like to go to, by the novelist Sandra Harrington. Do you know what she'll be talking about?
Well, she's got a new novel which just came out, so she'll be talking about that, and we'll probably read a few bits from it. She'll also be answering some questions about the book she wrote last year. I can't remember what it was called.
Fire and Eagles?
That's the one. You'll probably remember she got into a bit of trouble because some people said she had copied another writer's ideas. So it should be quite interesting.
And do I need to book a place in advance if I want to go to one of the talks?
You do, yes. You need tickets and you can only get them in advance by filling in a form on our website. You then pick them up from the ticket office when you arrive at the fair. We'll send you more information about the talks when we send you your tickets for the fair itself.
How much are they?
Oh, nothing. They're free.
Oh, great, thanks. And what's the best way of getting to the fair from the city centre?
Are you driving?
Probably not, what with the way the traffic is these days.
Well, Duke's Court Underground Station is only a minute's walk away. Does that help?
I'm only a short walk from a station at my end, so that's probably my best option. OK, one last question. Is there anywhere to eat at the fair?
Oh, there are lots of cafes and restaurants there. They're generally OK, but unless you're prepared to spend a fortune on a sandwich and a cold drink, I'd go somewhere else.
Such as?
Well, you'll be much better off going to one of the cafes or restaurants in the streets nearby. Oh, don't tell anyone I said that, though.
I won't, thanks. So, how should I pay for the ticket?
Unit 8, Track 18.
Hello, everyone. In a few minutes, we'll be setting off on our trip to the Palace of Com-on-Barney. There are a few things I should mention before we go, so please pay careful attention. Now, there are 3 groups of us on this trip, and we'll be using 3 coaches to get to and from the palace. They each have numbers on the front, and ours is Coach 2. Please check that you board the right one, both at this end and when we come back. Otherwise, I'll be running around looking for you. So, Coach 2. The palace is probably going to be very busy, so please stay close to me when we get there. If you lose me, head for the main gate, which is opposite the ticket office, and you'll find me there. Alternatively, call me on my mobile. The number's in your information pack. Your pack also contains a card called a freedom key. Keep hold of this, as you can use it to get money off in the cafes and restaurant at the palace. Now, these days, the palace is a museum, but you'll be surprised to hear that people still live there. No, they're not kings or queens, but local people who work at the palace and their families. Many of them wear traditional clothes, so they make a great subject for a photograph. But please ask them if it's okay before doing this. These people may also offer to sell you small wooden and stone statues that they've made. They make lovely souvenirs. They'll probably ask you for about $20 or so for these, but it's perfectly acceptable. Indeed, it's usually expected to offer them less. 30% below the asking price would be an acceptable figure, but please don't try to go lower than that. The statues, by the way, are a copy of the large statue of King Hupugata, which is just inside the main gate. A quick word of warning. This is of great significance to the locals, and while nobody will object to you photographing it, they don't like people touching it. So hands firmly in pockets when you walk past him, please. OK, so that's the boring stuff out of the way. Does anyone have any questions about the...
Unit 8, Track 19.
I'd like to briefly tell you about a few of the main attractions at the palace. You'll find these on the map in your information pack. Now, one of the first things you'll see is the statue of King Hupugata, which I just mentioned. This is on the right-hand side of Monument Court, the main square inside the palace grounds. Monument Court so called because of the many statues of kings, queens, and other historical figures there. Dating back to 123 BCE, the king's statue is 6 meters high, made of stone with a layer of gold and dotted with jewels. That's genuine gold, by the way, not just paint. Unfortunately, the jewels are made of glass. The originals were stolen many centuries ago. Just beyond the court is the Temple of the Sun. This is the oldest part of the palace and is estimated to be about 2,700 years old. It originally had a roof, but now there are just the columns that supported it. There are 130 of them altogether, each one rising between 20 and 25 meters from the ground to support a frame of iron bars on which the roof originally rested. To the left of the Temple of the Sun is the new palace, and it's here that you'll find the royal chambers. It's called the new palace because it's the newest part of the palace complex, although it was actually completed in 1346, which makes it quite old, really. Anyway, the royal chambers were where kings and queens from the middle of the 14th century had their private rooms, bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that. It was also where they would have kept all their valuables, although these have now been moved to the Palace Museum, which is also worth a visit. This was opened in March 2010. No, sorry, 2011. As well as valuables like jewellery and other historical objects, the museum also houses an impressive collection of weapons, including a sword that is said to have belonged to King Hupugata himself.
Unit 9, Track 20. Hello, Joe. Come in and take a seat. I wanted to talk to you about your essay on weather control.
Right. What did you think?
Well, let's start by looking at your introduction. You say that global warming is causing extreme weather conditions around the world.
That's right, isn't it?
Well, you need to be careful here. Yes, there is a lot of evidence that this is the case, but the issue is still controversial. You need to specify that many experts believe this is the case, rather than saying this is how it is.
Okay.
Then you look at the issues surrounding extreme weather, and how it has a negative effect in some countries.
I was worried that section was a bit disorganized.
No, not at all. It's very good. But I was slightly surprised when, in the same paragraph, you mentioned an advantage of extreme weather.
Not the right place for it?
Not really, no. In fact, I would question the need to put it there at all. At one point you're talking about droughts, hurricanes, floods, etc. And then suddenly you're talking about people being able to sunbathe on the beach in January.
I see what you mean. I think I was going to elaborate on that, add more information, but I guess I forgot to do so.
Okay. Then there's the section on weather control programs. This made interesting reading, but your ideas didn't really lead on from each other. Did you write a plan before you did this?
No.
Well, you really ought to. Here's an example. You talk about experiments to control hurricanes. Then you write about rain-making experiments. And then for no apparent reason, you go back to talking about hurricane control.
So, a bit messy.
A bit, yes. Next, you go on to talk about something called cloud seeding. Great. You gave a good, clear explanation about what cloud seeding is, that it's a way of using science and chemistry to make clouds produce rain. And you give some examples of where it's been used.
So, that section's all right.
Well, listen to this. The chemical silver nitrate is introduced into clouds to encourage them to produce rain. Silver nitrate?
Oh, that was careless. I meant silver iodide.
Exactly. I would hate to think what might happen if you started firing silver nitrate into clouds. Okay, finally, the conclusion.
I always have problems with the conclusion. I never really know what to say.
Well, you summarize your main points and give a few opinions, which is great. But you then start talking about environmental systems. This was not only in the wrong place, but I couldn't see where it fitted in with the rest of the essay generally.
Right. So there's a bit of room for improvement then.
Unit 9, Track 21. All right, let's go back to the section in your essay on cloud seeding. Apart from your silver nitrate, silver iodide mistake, you've missed a few bits out.
Have I?
I'm afraid so. What I'd like you to do is talk me through the process of cloud seeding, what it involves, and so on. And I'll stop you if you've forgotten something, okay?
Fine. Well, first of all, silver nitrate... iodide is fired into the cloud from the ground using a rocket.
Good. And you could mention that sometimes it's dropped from above by aircraft.
Right. And this is the first stage, the primary stage, which is called static seeding.
Mm-hmm.
The silver iodide causes a chemical reaction with the tiny water drops in the cloud and they freeze.
Okay, so you've got millions of tiny ice particles because the water droplets in the cloud freeze. What happens next?
Next, there's a process called rhyming. R-I-M-I-N-G.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the ice particles, well, they join up to form bigger pieces of ice, and when they're heavy enough, they fall from the sky.
Good. And then?
Well, as they fall, they turn to rain or snow. And, well, that's it, isn't it?
Well, usually, yes. But you've mentioned that there's a first stage, a primary stage. So surely you should have mentioned...
Oh, the secondary stage.
Which is known as...
Dynamic seeding, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How could I have left that bit out? Let me think. Okay, so the water droplets turn to ice and...
What happens when water freezes? When anything freezes, for that matter? Something that may seem surprising?
Oh, of course. It releases heat.
Exactly. It releases heat. And what can happen to a cloud when freezing water inside it does this?
The cloud gets bigger and contains even more moisture.
Exactly. And not only do they become bigger, but they also...
They, produce storms. No, hang on, that's not right. They last longer, that's it.
Right. They last longer, which means they can be seeded again to produce even more rain. Unit 10, Track 22.
Good morning, everyone. Today, as part of our 21st Century Architecture series, I'm going to tell you a bit about a remarkable structure which I'm sure you're all familiar with. The stadium that was built for the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. OK, let's start with a few background details. The stadium was designed by Herzog and de Meuron, a firm of architects from Switzerland. They studied Chinese ceramics, plates, cups and bowls to get inspiration. The stadium is actually two structures which are completely separate from each other. In the middle, there's the seating area, which was originally designed for 100,000 spectators, but this had to be reduced to 90,000. Around this area is the frame, which is made of 110,000 tons of steel in horizontal beams and vertical columns. The architects wanted the roof to open and close, but they changed it because it could have been dangerous if there was an earthquake. The big advantage of changing it was that it reduced the cost by several $1 million, although the building still came to an incredible $423 million. So, what makes this stadium such an amazing building? Let's start with the general impression it creates. For this, the best place to look at it is from a distance. Why from a distance? Well, that's where you'll really get an impression of what it looks like and how big it is. You'll also notice how it really stands out in its surroundings. This is not just because of its size, and it is big, but also because it stands on a low hill, which helps make it higher than any other buildings in the area. Then there's its unusual shape, which has helped to give it its nickname of the bird's nest. The unusual shape of the stadium also does something else. You see, if you stare at it for long enough, you also get the impression that this structure isn't standing still, that it's moving in different directions, almost like it's a living, breathing creature. This is especially true at night, when the stadium is lit up from inside with lights that continually change colour. In the stadium, everything changes. There are visitor entrances all around the outside, and as you enter, you get the impression that you're walking into a forest, and not just any forest, but something magical from a children's story. As you cross towards the spectator area, coloured light comes through the clear roof panels, creating strange pools of light and shadow. Now you're no longer in a forest, but on a set that's been built for a fantasy film. It really is a remarkable experience, and it's only once you're inside the spectator area that you finally realise you're in a sports stadium.